So there's,
Hmm.
the thing I hear over and over again is when you get out of the military, there's not a book that tells you how to do everything, right? But
Right.
this is a big important thing because most people who go through the military end up with some sort of disability, and there is this benefit that you've earned with your service and sacrifice that you need to take advantage of, right? It's not, admitting any weakness or anything. It's your earned right. So take
Right.
care of yourself, get to these professionals to do this kind of thing. Hi, everybody. Sherri Echols here with my special friend, Pam Robertson. She is the Wizard VSO that was here in Bryan College Station, and she's moved off to Colorado. But she's recently published 3 books. Tell us about what your books are. This is so
Well, my
exciting.
books are the VSO Playbook Series. It's for VSOs that are in training. The first one is basic training and foundations of what it is to be a VSO, ethics, uh, how to get the records and things like that. The second training book is how to actually file the claims and process them, and it gives a lot of little tips, VS seasons VSO tips, and also it has a lot of cheat sheets in it. So you're not having to research every little thing. You can go to the cheat sheet and it'll say, for instance, it'll have all the war errors listed, and so you can check the dates and things like that just right at your fingertips. And then the third volume is appeals, leadership, and mastery. That's where you're doing appeals, going to appeals court, how to actually run a VSO office, do the community events and outreach and things like that. The third book is Appeals, Leadership, and Mastery.
Yeah.
That is, where it kind of goes over what to say and do if you go to appeals court, how to file them, the evidence you need, how to run your office, and how to be a leader in your community. You want your community to know you're there. So it gives a lot of tips. That all 3 volumes give a lot of tips that I wish I had when I started.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it is. It's a training book for VSOs, claims agents, and even VA attorneys that do claims.
Yeah. There are several different types of people who help people do these claims. And I think, do individuals ever try to do their own claims on all by themselves, or do
Yes,
you really
absolutely.
need somebody like that? So there's,
Hmm.
the thing I hear over and over again is when you get out of the military, there's not a book that tells you how to do everything, right? But
Right.
this is a big important thing because most people who go through the military end up with some sort of disability, and there is this benefit that you've earned with your service and sacrifice that you need to take advantage of, right? It's not, admitting any weakness or anything. It's your earned right. So take
Right.
care of yourself, get to these professionals to do this kind of thing. And for the people who are in it, getting into a job with zero training and trying to poke around and figure it out yourself is really difficult. And not everybody's as driven and, I don't know, detail oriented as you are. So it's really awesome that you have put all this out there for everybody. Yeah, kind of having an idiot's guide to the job would be a fabulous thing, and the cheat sheets, because we've talked before about how each of the different war eras will have different kind of ailments that come out of them, from the different
Hmm.
exposures to the different, burn pits versus Agent Orange versus, these are all the kind of other things.
Yeah.
Um,
What made me want to make the cheat sheets in a book is when I was at Brazos County, the people that worked in my office would continuously ask me questions and things like that. So I would make cheat sheets for them. So they could just flip through they would make like a little binder and they'd flip through there and just look things up. And it just helped them be more efficient, and eventually they would learn it. And so the same way these books are, is they're meant to be left on your desk so you can reference them all throughout the day if you have questions or anything like that. Hang on, my chair's going down. I don't know
yeah.
how to lock it. Okay. So I would make these cheat sheets and send them notes, and then uh, they would say, "Hey, you should put a book together." And I said,
Yeah.
"That's a good idea because I wish I had these cheat sheets." And I even have forms in there, or if someone could just tell me, oh, it's easier if you put it on this form than
Right.
that form, and it would have saved me a lot of time. What happens when you become a county VSO is you go through a training. The training's very quick, but getting your accreditation can take some time. So if you're reading the first book while you're waiting on your accreditation from the state, that can prep you and get you ready, and you kind of know what you need to do to be efficient, how to talk to veterans, the questions to ask. The first book even has an intake sheet. So when the veteran comes in, they fill it out. So you already have some of their information,
Oh,
um,
yes. Yeah.
that kind of stuff. See, when I started, I didn't have any of that. And I kept changing systems and trying this and trying that until I'd figure out what worked. So I thought, man, if I would have had something like this would have really made me more efficient, and my staff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still sending cheat sheets out to them sometimes. They're such a great group over there.
Right, right. Well, if you look something up, twice, or if you do the same thing 2 or 3 times, you create an SOP around it, standard operating
Hmm.
procedure, and that's just brilliant to make these sheets to pass out to people because not only you are looking them up more than once, everybody's looking them up more than once, and this is
Yeah.
national. Oh no, this is national stuff. It's not local things. So the books apply all the way across the United States to everybody
Hmm.
helping a veteran do a claim with the VA. So this is awesome.
Right. So, like like in the second book, it'll have things like, okay, you have a veteran spouse walk in, and the veteran is deceased. They
Hmm.
can flip to burial benefits, and it'll tell them exactly what they need to ask the veteran for, what forms they need to have filled out, all that kind of information that makes it so much easier because you can just email it to them or print it out right then and have them fill it out and you're done. You're
Yeah,
not forgetting forms that need to be completed and things like that. So I
yeah,
think it'll make it much easier for VSOs across the line.
right. I mean, this should improve the classes that you take beforehand too. I mean,
Mhm.
it sounds like the VSO training is much like real estate training, where you take all these hours and sit through all this stuff, but you end up using any of it when you get there.
That's right. That's
Like,
right. You don't get any hands on. And when a
right?
veteran walks in your office, every veteran is different.
Yeah,
They all have a different problem. So
yeah,
you have to know quite a bit of information.
yeah. And it's important. This is their life, and if they're not able to work, or this could be a good chunk of money for them if they've.
Mhm.
It makes a big difference for them. So.
Absolutely.
And I knew I liked you for a reason. You're an amazing, amazing chica. So this is
Well, thank
super,
you.
super
So are you.
exciting. And I hope to see that these books do get used across the country for training and education on area VSOs because, we've heard you hear complaints from time to time how, well, a lot of times the person who's doing the work in a county will just be kind of part-time, work 1 day a week or something like that. And it's hard to get really good and trained with lots of repetition if you're only working a few hours a week, right? So
That's right.
some kind of reference guide would
That's
be a
right.
handy thing there. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and if you don't, I know in Texas, if you don't work 20 hours or more, you can't even get accredited. So you don't have the access to go in and do research. So there's little tips in the book about that as well. If you're not accredited, there's other ways to go about filing claims. You can do it the old school way,
Yeah.
which I've done many times when the internet's down, or you know, uh, the, just different things where I've had to pull out the old forms and actually read them myself again and make sure I'm doing it correctly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then with every administration, the VA laws change.
Yeah.
But so this book hits on the main things, and then it does go into some other details as far as there's a lot of things that VSOs are not trained on. Like about adopted children. If your parents are both veterans, how do your benefits work? National Guard, things like that you don't
Yeah.
really hit on. So yeah, it's a great book to as a resource.
Right. Right.
So yeah, I'm hoping everyone will check it out, and I hope it'll make their life easier. I do have some people that I have a company that does VSO training that is looking at the books to use for their training guides.
Oh, nice.
So I'm
That's
hoping all the VSOs will get them, even if they don't get the books in training. Get them and put them on your desk. It'll make your life easier.
right. And by function of that, it's going to make you look better. Your job will be easier. You'll look better. You'll give better service. Everyone will be happier. You'll get,
You won't make the common mistakes that I made when I
right?
started. A lot of things were trial by error. Me and Ben, Ben Holmes,
Yeah,
it was him and I, and we made a lot of mistakes together. But, we started learning, and I started making note of those mistakes, and that's
right.
how the book came about.
Yeah. Mistakes are not failures, they're just learning experiences, right? Unless you
Hmm.
repeating the same mistakes over
It'll
again.
even have tips in there about, take your time. The veterans are always in a hurry to get their benefits. Let them know, hey, you've got a whole year to get your benefits. Let's when we turn this claim in, let's make sure we're going to win it. Let's not just file
Right.
to file. So it
Right.
has little things like that in there, and what things you can say to the veterans. A lot of people, they don't know how to communicate with the veterans. So there's little tips on things you can say to help the veteran understand. Uh, Make sure that you're on the same page with them, that
Right.
you're being very honest with them, even if it's something they don't want to hear, which is
Right.
pretty often. But they would rather hear the truth and know that something's coming than to find out later.
Right.
And
And
then they say,
you
"Why
know,
didn't you tell me?"
right. Or they can like have the perception that you're not doing all you can for them if you're not going fast enough or something like that. If you have the
Right.
right words to say, you're communicating, what you are doing and explaining that, yeah, maybe it's going to be better to go slower, to actually go do maybe a couple more doctor visits or get something else documented or make sure that we file this piece of paper before we file this piece of paper. So we do it in the
Hmm.
right order and we fill in all the blanks. We make sure they're all filled out right so they don't
Right.
get kicked back.
Like there's one tip, as soon as they come in, there's two forms you want them to fill out. That's the 2122 and the intent to file. The
Mhm.
2122 gives you power of attorney so you can get access to their file. And the intent hold preserves their date from that day forward. You have 365 days to get that claim together and get it to the VA. And once the VA makes a decision, it goes back to the date you filed the intent. So it
Right.
could go back a whole year. So you would get a retro pay from that. So, you're preserving the date and gives you time. They know you're fixing a file. You start getting all your records together, and be prepared. So when you file that claim, it's ready to go. They have everything they need. They're not going to be uh, sending you letters saying, hey, we need this or we need that, or this form is not correct. Get it right the first time. And what is that old saying? Measure twice, cut once.
Right. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of the same theory.
Well, I think don't put it off filing either. Don't just let it sit. Don't let it stay on your to-do list. Make it a
Mhm.
priority and go in and get your intent done because like Pam says, that's when your pay goes back to. If you wait, the longer you wait, the later your pay is going to start. So if you've got a problem, get that intent to file filed so that the disability pay can start then, even if it takes a while to get it all filed and approved, it'll go
Right,
back farther.
right.
So,
And it also gives tips, the books do, about, when you file a claim for a veteran, they get their benefits. Well, that's not the end of it. You want to make sure they're getting the benefits. For instance, once they hit 30%, they can add their family to the award. So it gives them a little bit more of a monetary payment on, monthly. And
yeah,
so if I had a veteran that would get 20, 30%, I would contact them and say, hey, you've been awarded this, but now you need to fill out this form to add this, because I've had so many veterans walk in my office that's been at 100% for 10 years and they didn't know you got a property tax exemption, or they
oh,
didn't know you could add your family. Well, those don't backdate. They go from the time you file. That's a
yeah,
lot of money you're losing.
right, yeah.
So
Property tax, that's a
to
lot.
me, a good VSO, make sure, you're not only walking them through the claims process, you're making sure they're getting all the benefits that they've earned. I always tell them, I have so many veterans that will tell me, oh, I don't need the benefit. I'd rather somebody get it that needs it more than me, or, things like that. And I always tell them, this
Yeah.
isn't a charity. This is a
Right.
benefit you earned.
Right.
Even if you don't need the benefits, if a veteran registers in their county, and they're registered with the VA and the VA knows they're there, it gives you an accurate population of your veterans. And it also can bring in more resources for the veterans that do need it.
Yeah.
So I always encourage them, at least get in the system. Even if you go once a year to a physical and that's it, that helps the veterans that do need it. So, you're doing the other veterans a favor when you sign up.
Yeah.
That's how you get clinics in little areas and rural communities, is because they know how many veterans are there.
Yeah. That's an interesting point. Yeah.
Up here in Pitkin County and Aspen, a lot of veterans do not sign up for benefits. It's actually a problem because a lot of them don't need the benefits. And I've been really hitting them, saying, hey, you need to register because you might need it, but your neighbor might.
Yeah.
And we want to get them the stuff they need. Pitkin County is pretty large. A lot of people think it's just Aspen, but there's Carbondale, Basalt, there's several towns in the county. So there's people that are, like down in they call it down valley here. Those people do need help. So, if we have the people up valley signing up, then we can get them a clinic, or have the vision team come in and check everybody's vision one day, or,
Right. Hearing.
things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a low cost. I mean, it's a little bit of time to go and get yourself signed up, right? Doesn't cost you anything to go and file, get
It doesn't
yourself
cost you a
registered.
dime. You can actually call your VSO and they can send you the forms, and then the veteran can send them back to you and the VSO can submit them.
Okay. So
So
zero commitment except for filling out a form and making a phone call. So
that's
get
right.
signed up. Yeah. Even if you are, and I get that if you have a certain level of income, I guess.
You don't really even think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have insurance with your job or, whatever,
And
but
that's
think about
part of
the other
the
people and getting clinics in for the people who don't have all those things too.
right. And bring it, the VA will come if there's a bigger population, they'll send more resources.
Yeah.
And, like in the volume 3, it talks about how you need to be out in the community, do resource fairs, things like that, to let people know that you even exist. A lot of, I've started at a county before and they asked me if it was a new program. And
Wow.
I said, no, it's always been here. It's just, the people are not aware of it. So it teaches you how to get out in the public, how to, do presentations, how to speak about veteran benefits, and let people know. I try to hit a lot of events up here because I don't have a large population of veterans, but I created a veteran registry so people can just go on there and sign up. And then I have a mail out list from that
Yeah.
registry. I can send them mail outs and let them know things coming up, events, and you get a bigger participation. And the
Yeah.
ones that don't necessarily need the benefits, they're a little higher income, they'll actually step in and sponsor events and stuff. So the third book teaches you how to get out there and do that. And so I think it makes you a better VSO when people know who you are.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
If aware of the program. And, besides just the VSO thing, when you get out in the community like that, you developing relationships with other services besides what you do. And you can
Mm-hmm.
refer people around into the system to take advantage of lots of different things and,
Right.
meet lots of different people and services. So,
And, when you're out in the community, a VSO wants the veterans and the community to know them and trust them.
yeah.
A veteran comes to you, they don't trust you.
Yeah.
They have most likely been told no or been mistreated, so they kind of walk in, they have a chip on their shoulder. You have to be able to de escalate that and let them know that you're there to
Yeah.
help them and give them hope.
Right. Yeah.
So
People do business with people they know, like, and trust. Right. So you have to be that kind
that's
of
right.
friendly face and just be there for them. And, it takes a little bit of effort. Right.
Yeah.
You
And
can't
it
be a
really,
secret
if
agent.
you're just a kind person and you treat them the way that you would want someone to treat your parents or yourself, then it's really an easy thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that's where the reward comes in too, when we develop relationships with the people and, it's just enriching and you get more like camaraderie and all those things that you're missing from your service too. So,
Absolutely. Well, like in Brazos County, we had so many veterans. They all know each other. It's, a huge veteran community. Up here, building the camaraderie between the veterans is something that's needed. So when you get to a specific county or space that you're working, you got to figure out what are the needs here.
right.
And that we talk about that in the book as well. Get to your place, your location, go around, meet everybody, introduce yourself to the commissioners, find out what the needs are. What do the veterans want up here? Do they want you to hold events? Do they really need help with claims? Are there housing issues? How many homeless veterans do you have? And the book goes into detail about how to look for those things and how to help them, how to create some type of intervention or resource for those veterans.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's more things that people need help with besides just the VA claims.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just need someone to talk to.
Yeah.
So you want to be available for that. Sometimes veterans, I tell them go out to your Rotaries, your Lion Club, your Elks Lodge, your Legions, do a presentation. Go to the assisted livings. Let the spouses know they may qualify. That's how you're going to get all those veterans to register. Is they got to know you're there. That's the main thing.
Yeah. 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 So do you give public speaking classes in your book?
They're not in the
A lot of
book,
people are
but
nervous about that. Yeah.
yeah, I am available to come out and do presentations or speak at events and things like that to like at VSO trainings. I have been to a couple of VSO trainings and kind of went over not necessarily my book, but taught them some little tricks of the trade, if for
Yeah.
lack of better words, to help them be better VSOs. Because
Yeah.
if we have better VSOs, our veterans are going to get the benefits that they have earned and deserve, and they're going to be happy with the VA system.
Yeah.
You go online, they're talking terrible about the VA, because they've had bad experiences. And sometimes they didn't really have a bad experience with the VA, they had a bad experience with a VSO.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I don't always say it's the VSO's fault or things like that. I think it's a lack of training and just not knowing
Right.
little things that they can do to make their job easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and here comes the cheat sheets and, just I can see this like changing things in a big way across the country.
Mhm.
These
I'm
are
hoping so.
right.
And then eventually we'll have other little things that you can purchase. Like if you just want to purchase the book with all the cheat sheets and you don't want to
Yeah.
read the whole book,
Yeah.
things like that will be available. We'll also have some training coming where we'll do online training courses. Um, just different, anything that we can do to help a VSO be a better VSO. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. 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 So we will have attached to the posts when we put this out a link so that you can buy the books too, and a way to contact Pam to find out or maybe a website or something to find out what kind of classes are available. And I don't know, do you have a website maybe that'll have
We have a
these on
website.
there?
The brand is claimscommander.com.
Okay.
Claims Commander will hold, that's going to be the umbrella for the VSO training books. If you want to apply to have someone come out and do a presentation, if you'd like to have someone come speak at an event for you, it all falls under Claims Commander. And then as we have other things that will be available, they'll all be on there. We'll eventually have, if you want to get a T-shirt, because you took the course or things like that, and like I said, the little cheat sheets, just all kinds of little things will be available and it's all for VSOs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's all about making the VSO a better VSO for their veterans.
Yeah. I can
It's going
see
to make
like
a
a
huge
binder
difference.
with laminated cheat sheets in it and pockets for community events and that kind of thing. Yeah. That'd
Yeah.
be super handy.
Yep. Well, right now it's just the three books. And you put them on your desk, and somebody walks in and asks you something, you can just go to the table of contents, flip to the page, and you go, okay, I need this form and this form, and I
Nice.
need to get this and this from them, and you submit it to the VA. It makes it a lot easier.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't have to reinvent the wheel or like do that research over and over again. So nice.
Or you send a lot of VSOs will send in a claim or an application for something, and they're missing half of the stuff they need. So it just slows it down. The VA takes 2 or 3 months to send you a letter to tell you that one little form didn't get filled out or something like that. So it can, I always think about that when a spouse comes in and their husband's passed away and they're in a financial bind.
Right.
You want to get them that benefit as soon as possible to help them get back on track and heal. So if you make a mistake and it drags out 2 or 3 months, well, sometimes that's 2 or 3 months where they haven't paid their bills, and it
Yeah.
can really be stressful on them.
Yeah.
So I always think about that. I go, I don't want them to sit there with, they can't even buy groceries because the VA's taking so long, or I filed the wrong form.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And, like in health, your health can turn around in an instant, right? One event, one accident, a stroke, or, things can change in just a
mhm.
blink of an eye. And you need to be there and do your job right so that they get their service as soon as possible. Yeah.
Like if somebody walks in, there's different requirements for different types of pension. So there's a cheat sheet that says if they're over the income, do they have disability? What is their rating? What did they serve in a wartime? So, and if they do, and they're little charts, and you can look next to it and say, well, then you need to follow this form if this person has this. So you not making those mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've sent in forms and I didn't realize that there was an income status that qualified them or not, when I was getting started, and that would slow us down. And I thought, oh, that's terrible. So I made a little list. And so when they came in, I'd ask them those questions.
Yeah.
That helped me decide which way to go about filing.
Yeah. Well, it seems like the next step after these books is to improve the database that you're submitting like have a database of questions instead of all these separate forms, right? Answer the
Right.
questions in there and then it'll,
Well,
seems
with
like a way,
most,
there should be a way to improve that system to make it more user friendly is what I'm getting at, I guess.
yeah. And they are working on that. There's a couple of programs. When I was at Brazos County, I asked for it. It was called Vet Pro. So
Okay.
it kept a database of all your veterans, and when you would pull it up, it would auto populate the form that you needed. So you could type in 526 easy and it would pop up and already have all their name and address and all that. And then you just filled out the bottom part. Uh, and not only could I see it, but the other county VSOs in Texas could see it. Uh,
Yeah.
so we could get on there. We had notes for each other, because veterans move around. Up here, they have another program called Vetrospect. It's kind of the same thing. So it really makes it so much easier because it auto populates your forms. If you know the form you need, you just look up the form in the system, click on it, and then it fills out most of it already if you've filled out a profile for them. And
Yeah.
they quick submit to the VA, and you get a little sheet back that says, hey, a confirmation, hey, we've received it. So you're not 2 months down the road and they said, well, we never received anything.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it is getting better and better. They're coming up with more tools and things for VSOs to help our veterans,
Good,
which
good.
is
Yeah, I know the like
needed.
VA home loans process has really gotten streamlined and it works way better than it used to as well. A lot more user friendly.
Yep. And I have a chapter about that. Home loans. I have a chapter about different grants they can get if they need an adaptive housing project done, wheelchair ramps, bathroom rails,
Yeah.
things like that. So anything you can think of that a veteran would need, it's in the book.
Yeah.
And if
Nice.
it's not, let me know and it'll be in the next one.
The abridged version, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Or volume 4, maybe.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Um,
so. And I would eventually like to make it to where it's just one big book with tabs. But I'm just an itty bitty getting started, so we're
right.
doing the 3 volumes.
I'm just super excited and so proud of you for putting all this together. This is it's just brilliance to get it all written down for everybody. So
Well,
good on
thank
you.
you so much. You could even use it as an advocate.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you could,
As soon as I can order them, I'm gonna order me a set and read through them. So
yeah, you'll be surprised. You'll be like, oh, I could have done that for them because, you don't necessarily have to be a VSO to help someone with their claims because people can file their own claims.
true.
So
Yeah,
you can kind of walk them through it and say, hey, it says right here we need this, this, and this.
yeah.
So
If you know a lot of veterans or work with them, stuff comes up in conversation. If you have knowledge of something, you can point someone in the right direction. Why not?
yeah, even like, we have some large organizations in Brazos County. Uh, what is the one that has Stake Your Support? Sorry.
Brazos Valley Cares.
Yes, sorry. Couldn't think of the name. You know, even a program like that, having the books, when a veteran calls them and they're in an emergency situation, they're having to fund something. They could actually look it up and see that the VA can fund that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
not only are they just funding things, they're giving them advice and guiding them.
Right. Yeah. They may give them like a stopgap amount of money for the
Hmm.
emergent, for the time while the papers are getting filed and the benefits are kind of going like that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's a good thought too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
they can even, they can look through there and say, oh, this person needs housing. Well, there's a program for that,
yeah.
and kind of guide the veteran to the back to the VA because
Yeah.
that's what it's there for.
Well, and I've met certain veterans who are kind of leaders and influencers in their community. And
Mhm.
this would also be good for them to read because there's one that has a fob razor. I think he should
Mhm.
read these because he's so good. He's a stellar human. I like him lots. Jeff Shalansky.
Mhm.
Yeah, for leaders and influencers, it'd be good for you to read so you can forward to people to the right places in that. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
very useful to a lot of different people, not just the VSOs. Yeah,
Yeah. Even the veteran themselves,
yeah,
they can look through there and say, oh, this is what I need to do. There are a lot of veterans that, if they're going to use a VSO, they can go to a VSO right away if they've never filed a claim. If they've already filed a claim and it's been denied, then they can go to a veteran's attorney or a claims agent. Well, sometimes those can get pretty costly.
yeah,
So if you have the book, you don't need them. They take a pretty good chunk out of your retro pay or they charge you for the forms and stuff. And this could
yeah.
save you a lot of money if you realize that it's really not that difficult.
Right, but the VSO will help with an appeal for free, right? And
That's right.
so
But a
read the
lot of
book,
people,
go back
they'll
to the
get
VSO.
denied. They don't go back to their VSO. They'll say, "Oh, well, I got denied." Sometimes the denial is a mistake on the VA's part, and the
Yeah,
VSO can go back in there and look and make it a correction or something like that. But some people will say, "Oh, I've been denied. The VSO didn't help me. Let me go to an attorney or let me go to a claims agent," which is fine. I mean, they can help you. You don't have to do any of the work,
right.
but they do charge you. But if you're
Yeah,
willing to do the work, if you've already filed the claim once, you already kind of know how it's going to go and what you need.
yeah, yeah.
But it
So
can be scary.
yeah, I guess it could be intimidating if you don't normally deal with paperwork and stuff like that. It can be intimidating, but you just take one bite at a time. Like how
Mhm.
do you eat an elephant, right? Just
Right. Or you just don't have the time. But like I said, a lot of veterans don't know. You can go back to the VSO and say, hey, this was denied. And because they send you a letter that
yeah.
says this was denied because of this, this, and this. Veterans do not read those letters most of the time. A lot of
Oh,
times they'll come in the office and they'll say, I don't know, it just says denied. Because
huh.
it's, a big stack of 20, 30 pages. So, you can flip through there and kind of translate it for them. And that's in the book
Yeah.
as well. Keep them informed, help them understand. Just because they don't understand the letter, because they have, the VA has their own lingo, have them come in and you say, hey, let me take a look at that. It might be something real simple we can fix.
Okay. Yeah. So that packet just goes to the veteran, not to the VSO, right? You don't get that feedback, or do you as a VSO?
Well, they don't just send it to you. You have to check, like, I would keep a list of my veterans and kind of check the status on their claims. Sometimes I would check the status and they just needed another form, and I would take care of that before the veteran even got the letter, because you'll see it way before the veteran gets the letter. And
Okay.
that's also in the book, kind of keep up with your veterans and check status and keep them from having to get paperwork and getting frustrated, or they have to come back to your office. You
Right.
know, just shoot them a quick text or email, or even call them and say, hey, you're going to get a letter. I just want you to know I've already taken care of that for you.
Oh,
And that creates a better relationship as well. Then they
right.
trust you. They know you're looking out for them.
Yeah, yeah. And, this just becomes a system, where Mondays you check status, Tuesdays you make phone calls, Wednesdays you file forms or whatever, however your system looks. But you just put it into your system in a rotation, and it's a routine, and it becomes
Mm-hmm.
just second nature. It's hard
Right.
to, it's not. And then it's just an easy thing. And then you can get out in your community and go meet all the people and be,
Yeah.
be
Keep it
safe.
going.
Yeah, yeah,
I love it when I've done one like a virtual one, and then I meet them in person, and you really get to put that face
yeah,
to all the stuff you've been through with that person. You almost become like family to them,
yeah, yeah.
and then sometimes I'll check status also, because sometimes they'll get a large retro check back, and I'll call them and say, you're going to get a retro check. It's this amount. So when it hits their account, they know what they're getting. They're not like, what is this for? Can I spend this?
Right.
You want to kind
Yeah.
of keep them, communicate with them and keep them up to date so they know what's going on. And also, I'll have them come in if it's a very large amount and kind of go over it with them and explain to them all the different things that come along with it. And, sometimes it can be three, $400,000, which
Oh,
is,
wow.
that's life changing for people. So you want to have them come in and sit down. I've actually called people, and you tell them, hey, you're going to get $30,000, just for an example. And the tone of their voice, it just changes their life. They start crying, they're emotional. I've actually had them hang up on me and then come to the office and ask if I called them.
That's
And that
funny.
is that's the reward you get.
Yeah.
When I was training VSOs in Brazos County, I would want them to call, even sometimes if it was a claim I was helping with, I'd let them call and tell the veteran that, so they could feel the difference they were making in people's lives. And it
Yeah.
just made them want to do more and more, and it's just a feeling like nothing else, calling someone and basically telling them they hit the lottery.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Just the benefits, just the health care is a lottery for people. So, and it's something they've earned, that it's that they did the time. I always say the recruiter's office is open to everyone. So,
Right.
because you have people that say, well, veterans don't deserve a discount and things like that. Well, the veteran is the one that went down there and agreed to give their life for the country. So they deserve their benefits.
Yes.
We want to make sure they get them.
Yeah. Just curious, if someone gets a check that's three or $400,000, is there any like financial counseling or anything like that that's available to help? Because you hear stories about people winning the lottery and then they end up in
Mhm.
bankruptcy again. Is so a big chunk of money like that, you don't want it to disappear right quick. Is there?
Right. Well, you can counsel them yourself. I've counseled a few. Uh, but there's nothing from the VA that counsels people. They can call and ask questions and maybe discuss with them. Like when I counsel them, I tell them you should purchase the insurance through the VA. It's free up to a certain amount, but you have a large amount of money. Or I'll tell them, don't go tell the lady at the store that you've got $400,000, just to kind
Right.
of, because they're
Yeah.
excited. And the more people you tell, the more people are going to want things. Sometimes I'll even say, hey, you might want to get in touch with a financial consultant to help you manage your money, because it can be dangerous
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
you know,
400,000 could last you a good while. You can live off of, income from that, right?
and it's
Instead of
tax
just
free.
depleting it. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, you don't even have to report it. So, yeah, I mean, it's a big deal. And I've had veterans that have gotten a large amount, and then in a couple of months, it's gone because you know they either squandered it away or their
Yeah.
family talked them into So and that's the sad part is you're going to have that with anything that someone gets a lot of money at one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've
I
had
think,
more people be success stories. I've seen veterans that got a couple $100,000 and they opened a business, and I've seen it thriving right there in Bryan.
yeah.
So, it's wonderful to watch things like that. But, unfortunately, you're going to have people that take advantage of veterans.
Yeah. So
So,
maybe if you're in that position, get out in your community and find a couple of people who are like financial advisors who
mhm,
you trust and we're going to take good care of your people,
mhm.
you know.
We have, in Bryan, there was one that was a Marine. And so he was going to take care of his fellow veterans. And
Yeah.
sometimes I would refer him, and he wouldn't charge them just to give them advice and stuff because it was veteran to veteran. But sometimes they just never called him. So all you can do is
Yeah.
give them the information
Right.
and help
You can lead a
people.
horse to water, right?
Yep. Yep.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. And, that's just kind of a side effect never would have thought about before. But yeah, that makes sense to have a referral, you know,
Hmm.
but like you say, you can't make them take it. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I usually would have them come in the office.
Mm.
So they're sitting there right in front of me. So they're sitting down when I tell them because, some of, well, in Brian, I knew a lot of them.
Yeah.
I would tell them, don't share this with anybody. This is going to hit your account, and you're also going to get $4,000 a month and all these benefits, and it's kind of overwhelming to them.
Yeah.
And so when it hits, they'll come back and say, hey, it hit my account. They're nervous sometimes. And so I'll say, well, don't tell anyone. Here's this person. You might want to go ahead and do this or that, or call the VA and set this up, and this kind of counsel them as they go along. And a lot of times they'd come in and like they'd get a letter even after they've got 100% and say, what is this? And sometimes I would say, well, that's a fraudulent letter. It's some scammer, things like that. So you want to be there for them even after you win the claims. It's not over.
Yeah. Yeah. Ongoing thing.
Yeah.
And also well, you get a certain amount of disability. If this ailment goes away, it goes back down again. So it's a fluid thing. It's dynamic. It's not like you get it awarded once and it's done, right?
Well, sometimes,
Sometimes,
but
but not
like if you
all. Right.
have prostate cancer and you go into remission,
Yeah.
it can drop back down.
Yeah.
And you can, your veteran will come to you because it'll say, instead of permanent and total, it'll say static. And they'll say, hey, how do I get permanent and total? And you can start looking at other ways to get on permanent and total without that at
Right.
100%. So you want to build them up to where if something happens, like let's say they go into remission, that drops, but it doesn't affect their actual payment and stuff like that if you have it set up. So really, you just have to kind of go in and talk to your VSO about it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they'll assess your file, and that's what the book teaches them. Go in and assess their file and see what else we can get for them that will keep that rating at 100%, even if they lose part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have some veterans that would have two or three disabilities that had 100%. So even if one dropped, they still,
Still covered. Yeah.
yeah, still covered because I've seen them have 100% and it drops down to 30, and they're used to living a particular lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if they're worried about that, when you see a veteran, when a VSO has a veteran in their office and they see something like that, let them know, hey, this is not permanent. This is a static rating. It can drop because a lot of times they don't know that. It'll just suddenly drop, and oh, now they're in a mess.
Right. Where's my money? Right.
Yeah, yeah. So you want to kind of assess their file and explain to them what you see and what can change, what can't, what all is available to them. And a lot of times the VSOs don't know that stuff. They don't teach you all that stuff. They just teach you how to pass the test and do basic claims, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you want to be a really good one, you want to know how to take care of each veteran.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to do a job, do it well, right?
Yeah. I mean, and this is not, to me, this is a serious job. You're taking care of the people that defend our freedom.
Yeah.
So, if you want to really do a good job, then you need to know all the little tips and tricks. It's really sad. A lot of VSOs, well, not a lot, but I've met some that they're just filling a position. They don't really do anything for their veterans, which causes a lot of problems because that's their county VSO.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can't go to other counties. Other counties won't accept people outside of their county. So you might have a really good VSO in Brazos County, but you have a terrible one in one of the sister counties. Well, that's a disservice to our veterans. And
Right.
I tell VSOs when I have a veteran come to me and they live in, another county and I can't take them because of the boundaries some judges put or counties put on you. I tell those veterans, go let your county know that VSO is not helping you. Let's get some good VSOs in here.
Yeah. Or
That's
get them some good training. Yeah.
Yeah, and get them some training. And if they don't want to take the training, then maybe they don't need to be a VSO.
Yeah.
I had one VSO tell me he didn't want to get accredited. And I was like,
Why not? Why not?
yeah. And that told me that he really didn't want to do things. And I would have veterans go to him and come back and say, well, he just told me I need to fill out this form. I don't really know how to do it or anything. So you don't we want to weed those VSOs out.
Yeah.
People that care enough and would be honored to have these positions. And those are the people that need to fill those positions.
Right.
So, and I tell people report them all the time because that's a total disservice. And it's a lack of, I don't want to say leadership, but it's a lack of caring in that county's leadership if they don't make sure their VSO is equipped and trained and doing what they're supposed to.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I
Now, there
have
are
an issue right
areas in the
now for
countries that have more higher concentrations of veterans, but even if your population is low, if you have the position, make sure that they're doing a good job, right? And
right.
and if there are not that many veterans to file claims for, there are other things that you can do in the community that will, enrich the community and do better. And, just like if you're going to work, right?
Right. Right. Well, like up in Pickens County, I don't have a lot of veterans. I only have about 640 something, I believe. So I did the Memorial Day event. I'm doing the 4th of July parade. We just did a golf tournament for veterans, to let people know that you're there and you care. And
Yeah.
at these events, I'll meet veterans and they'll say, well, I've never really filed, but they want to go to the events and stuff. And that's when you explain to them, hey, if you don't need the benefit, go ahead and sign up so the people that do can get it. Because they don't know that. So you can't get to them if you don't hold events and resource fairs and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's all different, every VSO office has a different need. So, that's why I say in the book, it tells you get there, find out what the need is. That's
Yeah.
the stuff you stay focused on, and then the other stuff will automatically come.
Yeah. Yeah. A little resourcefulness will go a long
Mhm.
way, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be shy and be a VSO, that's for sure.
You'll get over it real quick, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I cannot wait to read these books, and we should do a whole series uh, going through your books.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
As I mean, there's so much stuff in them that even I can't remember it. I mean, I'll be referring to them because there's
Yeah.
some things, I'm like that I don't do a lot. So, somebody will come and ask me some question, and I'm like, ooh. Well, it's very difficult to find information on the VA.gov site or in the 38 CFR, the law for VA. So I can flip to this book and say, oh, I just need to do this and this. That'll take care of that.
Right.
And you're done. The veteran's happy, you're happy, the county's happy with you.
Yeah. And
So
if you have to spend a bunch of time looking something up once, write it down and record it somewhere so you have it at your fingertips for the next time.
Yeah, yeah, keep your notes and stuff. And like I always say, keep a list of all the resources in your community. So if it's something the VA can't help them with, you can send them to somewhere else. You know, you're
Yeah.
not just saying, well, we can't help you. You can say, well, the VA doesn't have a program for that, but Catholic Charities does, or, whatever's available. Or the
Yeah.
Marine Corps League will assist you with that. Let me get you in touch with that person. And you want to know those people that run those organizations.
Yeah. Yeah. Because referrals go both ways. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Got
It's
to help each other
all
out.
about supporting the veterans in the community. So
Well, you and I did that a lot.
yeah.
I'd have one that was so confused about the home loans and stuff like that. I'd say, hey, I have an expert that can help you with that, that knows a lot more than I do about that.
All right.
And
And
if you met someone and they said, well, I'm a veteran, hey, are you getting your benefits? So,
get your intent to file claim.
yep,
Intent to
yep,
file, intent to claim filed. That's what I'm trying to say.
yep. Intent to file. That's what I tell people. That's one of the first things. It's even in some of our videos for the books. That's something that every VSO should know. Even if you don't buy the book, you need to know that you need that. That's probably one of the most overlooked forms at the VA.
Yeah. So maybe that's the first T-shirt, right? Or
Yeah,
baseball cap.
intent to file. Yeah, I'm just wanting to kind of help the whole book is to help VSOs help our veterans.
Yeah.
And I think that the more veterans we help, the more people will realize, you're not just going in and serving time so you can get school money or college money. You're agreeing. People don't realize when you sign that dotted line, you're agreeing to give your life. You
Yeah.
belong to the government. Not a lot of people do that or are willing to do that. So that's why those veterans that sign on that dotted line deserve the best.
Right.
You got to take care of them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see how this program grows for you. This is,
Thank you.
I think
I'm
it's,
excited to see how it grows for the VSOs as well.
yeah. Yeah.
Just try to know fill your head with as much knowledge as you can. So you're not one of those VSOs that says, well, I can't help you with that. You don't
Yeah.
want to be that person. Or
Yeah.
I don't at least. Most VSOs I know do care. They want to do as much as they can, but there's so much to learn. It's hard to know it all.
Right.
So,
Having a desk reference guide will be just huge, huge.
yes, yes. You'll be able to purchase it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I think there's like 60 sites they put them on.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and then the marketing and all that. They're doing all that, so I'm just kind of getting it trickling in, and I just approve it or not. But so far, they're doing such a great job.
Yeah. So we
You know,
need to
but-
get you out on the talk circuit, like for Oprah and Jimmy Fallon
oh
and
yeah,
on all the shows, right?
be on Jimmy Fallon. Hey,
Right.
are you a bad VSO? Are you wasting veterans' time?
Right.
That's
Thanks for
hilarious.
coming and telling us all about it. I am it's just so excited for you. This is such a great idea and a good thing for the whole community, the whole veteran community.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye bye.